In this lesson, I'm going to look at setting up a KeePass account, which is a system that allows you to save multiple passwords and in a safe, and you just need to remember one password for everything, which is fantastic. And the actual program we're looking at is something called KeePass. So I'm just going to put this into Google and search for it. And there we are, KeePass password safe. Okay, just click on that. Now, KeePass is an open source program, which means it's free for you to use, and it doesn't cost anything to use it, and they update it on a regular basis. I'll just go back that again. Yep. Okay. This is the actual KeePass password safe program interface. It has a little bit of a write-up about what it does. Okay, it says about sort of having to remember multiple passwords for different sites and things like that. It's open source, as I said, so it's free of charge, and it's very, very easy to use. So to actually get it onto your computer, you need to go to the downloads button here. So we can actually click on downloads, and there are different editions that you can actually use. Now, the one we're going to actually look at is the classic edition. So they've got a download area here, and all we do is we just click on it. Now, before we whiz ahead on that, just so that you're aware, it supports most Windows operating systems, even to the new Windows 8. They also do a version for Linux and Mac OS systems and Ubuntu and things like that, but we're going to stick with Windows 8 on this one. So I click on the download now, and what will happen is take me to a download page, and as you can see, it says my download will start in 1 second. And as soon as you get this pop up, you need to actually save your file. So that will actually save to my downloads folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to my start button, and I'm going to go to my folder here and go to my downloads. So I'm going to click on downloads. And there we are. So this is actually the KeePass setup, and what I'm going to do is run through how to actually install it. So we click on that, and it will start to install. Okay, you'll come up with your sort of normal Microsoft system to say that do you want to allow the program from an unknown publisher to make changes to the computer. This is perfectly safe to do because we know where it's come from. So I'm going to actually click yes, and then it will actually start installing it. So dependent on your language that you want to use, you can choose different languages, and as you can see, it's got the usual range, and as we're speaking English, we're going to use English, and we click on OK. And this then takes us through to the actual install interface. So we click next, and you'll notice this is the standard general public license information here. You can read through it. Because it's open source, you are not allowed to sell this program, but you can distribute it to any of your friends and family that you think it would be useful for. I'm going to accept the agreement and click next. And then I can actually choose where I want the safe to actually be stored, and I'm going to browse, and I'm not going to put it onto my C drive because the problem is that with Windows 8 I actually have, in this particular Fujitsu computer, I have a partitioned hard drive, and my hard drive partition where all my general program files goes into is being eaten up. So I'm going to install it into my drive as D, which is my other part of my partition drive. I'm going to double click on that, and I'm just going to click on OK. So it will actually set up a folder for me automatically, and I'm going to click Next. And I can actually ask it to create a desktop item and a quick launch icon if I want. And I'm going to click Next. So normally what I would do if you do want to do this is I click these. So we click Next, and then I click Install. Right. And I can actually go and look at the actual web page once it's installed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick the launch KeePass and click Finish. So there is our empty KeePass interface, and what we'll do is I'll actually show you what we're going to do with setting up an actual new user account. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do if you've never used this before is you're actually going to set up a new file. Now we can either do it from the file menu here, it says new, or we just click on the new file here. Okay, and what we have to do is actually set a master password. Okay, now your master password needs to be a string of letters and numbers, something that you will remember that no one else knows and is quite complicated for anybody to try and hack into. I'm just going to come away from this a second and actually show you a really useful little website where you can test out different passwords. So bear with me a second, we'll just go to probably Google Chrome and have a look at this particular program where you can test out the strength of your passwords. Okay, we're going to have a look at this rather nifty way of checking how strong your actual passwords are. It's called How Big Is Your Haystack? The actual URL is here, and to get it, it's www.grc.com/haystack.htm. Okay. Right, so basically it's a way of actually checking your passwords. Just to give you an idea of how unsafe certain passwords can be, we'll just put in one of the most famous ones that people still use, and that is password, believe it or not. As you can see, if somebody was actually trying to attack your computer offline, 2.17 seconds. An online attack, this is sort of thousands of guesses, it might take a couple of years, but this is one of the most popular passwords that people still use. Even things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, very, very easy to hack. So let's see what would be a good safe password. I'm just going to think of a school that I went to years ago. So okay, so this is a string of 3 words, and you can actually see how long it is. So it's 24 characters long. I've got spaces as well as upper and lowercase letters. And look how long it would take to hack. This is really simple to remember, but if you want to make it a little bit more secure, we could change the L at the end of school into a 1, and we could turn, let's have a look, let's change the S into a 5, for example. And there we go, we've actually increased the strength of this particular password. Now, there are other ways of doing this. We could change that 5 into a special sign, and in this case I'm going to use percentages. Now, although that hasn't actually made any difference to the actual safety of it, it still makes it strong. So that's an example. Can put in an address, for example. Let's try this one. Right, okay, so we've got an address here that's 32 characters long. So this is a really strong password. Again, it's something that you would be easily remembered. I actually like the idea of using either sports that you like doing, the car that you first drove, for example. Let's just pop something in like this. Okay, that's a Morris Minor saloon, so it's a car that I drove at one time in my life. So again, you're making your actual password very strong. Now, just so that you're aware, some password users will not allow you to use more than 20 characters, so you do have to be aware of that. And also, some of them don't like you using spaces. And if I just close up those spaces, I've still got a nice strong password despite the fact that I've had to remove the spaces from it. If it has to be less than 20 actual syllables, I can reduce that down, and I've just got Morris Minor 1000cc there. And again, a nice strong password, and it's under 17 characters. Okay, so I'm now going to go back to my KeePass page.